Yeah, I don't get it. It just feels like at this point now, somebody's trying to make a statement or a point to flex their authority.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about NBA basketball player Kevin Durant exposing New York City Mayor Eric Adams on this ridiculous vaccine mandate. And then we got to talk about ESPN commentator Mike Wilbon attacking Kevin Durant for his stance, talking about you're too smart for this, that's a ridiculous take, all this, that, and the third. Now, before we get into the videos, which I do have, I got to back up a little bit here to explain to you what's going on. Now, in New York City, there was a vaccine mandate for indoor spaces. It was partially lifted on March 7th. Now, it was only lifted for, I think, 3 main places: indoor dining, gyms, and entertainment venues like the Barclays Center where the Brooklyn Nets play, where Kyrie Irving should be able to play, and where his teammate Kevin Durant plays. Now, if you go to Barclays as a visitor, there's no vaccine required, no mask required. If you go to Barclays as the opposing team, meaning the away team, so let's say, for example, the Orlando Magic come to town and one of their players, shout out to Jonathan Isaac, he's unvaccinated, he can play with no problem. This is not an NBA rule, this is a New York City rule. So the opposing team, they could be unvaccinated, the fans can be unvaccinated. Kyrie Irving, who is not able to play home games for the Brooklyn Nets, can attend the game and be courtside right next to his teammates. He can hug and dap and all that with no vax, no mask or nothing, but he can't play in the game. Why? $1 million question. Before we answer that question, let's roll those clips. In the clips, you'll see Kevin Durant say what he says. Then you'll see Mike Wilbon's response. After we get done with that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand it at all. I mean, it's a few people in our arena that's unvaxxed, right? Like, they lifted all of that in our arena, right? So I don't get it.
It's a second mandate that says he can come in but can't play.
I don't get it. It just feels like at this point now, somebody's trying to make a statement or a point to flex their authority. But, you know, everybody out here looking for attention, and that's what I feel like the mayor wants right now, some attention, you know. But he'll figure it out soon. He better. But it just didn't make any sense. Like, there's unvaxxed people in this building already. We got a guy who can come into the building. I guess, are they fearing our safety? I don't get it. So, yeah, we're all confused. Pretty much everybody in the world is confused at this point. Early on in the season, you know, people didn't understand what was going on, but now it just looks stupid. So hopefully, Eric, you got to figure this out.
Kevin Durant is too aware and too plugged in to say something that impertinent. What's the point of that? Want some attention? You want to call out somebody? Call out your teammate. Tell him to get a shot. Because he's got plenty of them, because he couldn't have gone to grade school in metropolitan New York without vaccines. I mean, all these guys want to be so irresponsible and not accountable enough to look at this dude and tell him, you want to play with us? Put a shot in your arm. The vaccine is not about attention. People died, hundreds of thousands of them, from this virus. And you think the mayor of New York needs to attend to a basketball team's needs, your needs, before he needs to attend to the needs of a metropolitan area, the biggest in America? Are you kidding me? I mean, Kevin Durant, there's some knuckleheads who would say stuff like this. I'd probably let it go. Kevin Durant is too smart and too plugged in. Everybody wants to tell you how woke they are, and then I got to hear something like that? That's offensive. Stop.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, shout out to Kevin Durant for just expressing what's obvious. It's like, okay, if I can go to Barclays while unvaxxed and watch the game with no mask on right next to my teammates, after the game I can give all kind of hugs and handshakes and high fives and all that good stuff. Why can't I just play in the game? I don't understand. Like, is it about safety? How is it about safety? Understand this. The Barclays Center has a capacity of like 17,700. So you could have all 17,000 fans potentially unvaccinated, and it's not a problem. the opposing team can have all unvaxxed guys. Everybody can be right there on the court side unvaccinated, right next to the players, right next to the coaches, right next to the refs, right next to everybody. But if you play for either the New York Knicks, they play on Madison Square Garden, obviously, Manhattan, or the Brooklyn Nets, they play in Barclays Center, Brooklyn, these guys can't actually enter the game and play. Is it about safety? Clearly it's not. Okay, if it was, then there would be a vaccine mandate for the whole arena for everybody, not just for the home team. Because again, you could be the away team and come and play while unvaccinated. Guys like Bradley Beal, Jonathan Isaac from the Wizards and the Magic respectively, they can fly to New York City, play right next to play with the opposing, the home team, and it's totally fine. But the home team can't do that unless they're all vaxxed. Okay, it's not about safety. Okay, if it is, then this makes no sense because everybody's all in the same building, everybody's all in the same place. It's not safety. The problem is we got politics going on because there's a vaccine mandate for New York City employees. There's also a vaccine mandate for New York City workers. So if you work in the city, you're supposed to be vaccinated. One of my callers called my show, and shout out to you. They called the show saying that they work in New York City, but they had to move to Georgia and fly to New York City like every 3 weeks to work. Because if you don't live in the city, you're able to work in the city. But if you live there, you can't work there if you're unvaccinated. You understand what I mean? So you can be living somewhere else and then fly there to work if you're unvaxxed. Okay. So the person had to move away and then fly in just to, this doesn't make any sense. It's all about politics. You had 1,400 New York City employees that got fired back on February 15th of this year because they missed a February 11th deadline to become vaccinated. So there was all kind of protests and whatnot from these people saying, hey, why am I not allowed to work? What's going on? I don't want to get the shot. That's my priority. That's my business. So if you let Kyrie Irving play, sends a bad message. Okay. And as a matter of fact, it's not just me saying that. Eric Adams, the mayor, said it himself on television.
It would send the wrong message just to have an exception for one player when we're telling a countless number of New York City employees, if you don't follow the rules, you won't be able to be employed. That's not the right thing to do.
It's not about anything other than politics. Kevin Durant was right. And I'm not sure about the attention part. I just think that he understands he can't do certain things because of the legal ramifications and the politics that are involved and the optics. That's all. So Wilbon talking about safety and all this and that. Like, what safety? What are you talking about? Why is what Kevin Durant said dumb or wrong or impertinent? How is it impertinent? It's 100%. It makes 1,000% sense. Somebody's got to say it. I think everybody's thinking it if you're being honest. And I'm on the internet scrolling around and I see the conversation happening about this, about Kevin Durant and Mike Wilbon. And I give my 2 cents and everybody's saying, oh, just get the shot. But nobody's talking about how the rule makes no sense. Talk about that part. You could say the vaccine saves lives. That's your opinion. Okay, great. If you do believe that, then why is it that nobody else in the arena has to have the vaccine except for the home team? If it's about getting a shot to save lives and protecting others, then everybody should have it, not just Kyrie Irving. You got an arena of 17,000 people, and you singling out one guy for not having it. How about everybody else? The thousands of people who may not have it. They're not wearing there's no vax, no mask, no nothing. Potentially. A lot of them probably have the vax, but a lot of them don't. So where is the science? Where is the logic? There is no science. There is no logic. It's about optics and politics. It's simple as that. It ain't nothing else to it. Okay? So you may be a masketeer, a vaccine warrior. That's totally fine. But everybody has to admit how the law makes no sense. Eric Adams himself said it doesn't make any sense, but yet he's still going to enforce it, which also makes no sense. You acknowledge, Eric Adams, that the rule makes no sense. It's ridiculous, but you're still enforcing it. So at a certain point, you got to do something else. Now, as I close, I want to say this. At a certain point, it's got to come to an end. Probably by playoff time. That's what I predicted in the beginning. Because right when they said the vaccine mandate was going away as far as indoor spaces, I'm like, okay, maybe by playoff time, they'll release it. And I still think that could happen, but maybe not. Maybe it was supposed to be rescinded come playoff time. Okay, maybe the March end date was for the playoffs, but it didn't quite go far enough to say, all right, come on back. Because again, you got these 1,400 city employees. That's not even counting the private sector employees that got fired potentially. But you have them that got fired, and it's like, hey, man, I need back pay. I need my job back. So you're talking about a big bill to pay, and I'm not sure that he wants to pay it or that he wants to just break face and go do that, although he should. It's about that and nothing else. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Eric Adams and this ridiculous New York City vaccine mandate that's really hodgepodge? Okay, you got a vaccine mandate for the workers in Barclays, but not for the patrons. So you can have 10 to 15,000 people all unvaccinated, but you got a handful of guys and girls that aren't, then that's going to be a safety issue. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This whole thing is just ridiculous. It's so silly. I mean, even places like California are starting to move forward, and they're dropping all these mandates because we know they don't work. And even if you are vaxxed, let's say last year, maybe you got shot number 1 and shot number 2, or just shot number 1. If you got shot number 1, number 2, and number 3, it's already outdated. It's talking about, oh, you need another one. You need number 4, and then I was reading somewhere where they say that if you don't have your up-to-date shots, you're considered unvaccinated. Now, if you got shot number 1 and number 2, are you going to get number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6? Like, are you going to get them every time they come out? Probably not. You're probably going to see less of a compliance rate with each shot that comes out. So how can this charade be kept up? Go ahead and cut your losses right now, because you're going to get sued eventually, because sooner or later you're going to have to rescind the vax mandate for employees. You're going to have to rescind that. You're going to get sued sooner or later. I mean, people done lost their jobs, livelihood, might have ended up homeless, might have lost their life behind this. It's going to be a big backlash. So go ahead and stop it right now, because all you're doing is just kicking a can down the road. You're prolonging the inevitable, Eric Adams. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.